Cowboys pregaming with my little friend Primetime, who's hanging out on my mic stand. We'll see if he makes it through the show. We got Cowboys Falcons today. Season is on the line. Zeke's not there. He got in trouble. We'll do all the things. Cowboys DLLS pregame show, which starts meow. You know things are going well for your football team when one of the first three comments on the Cowboys pregame show is "Go Rams."
Oh, my God.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. Boy, they must think that the Falcons are going to have a lead because CeeDee Lamb's numbers on Sleeper keep going higher and higher. The number is now 90.5 receiving yards for more or less for CeeDee Lamb on the Sleeper app. I'm staying away from that one. I just want you to know. Welcome in, everybody. It's time for the Cowboys pregame show. We're getting ready to whoop up on the Atlanta Falcons and get this season going in a better direction. That's what we're going to do today. I'm Jeff. And she is our superstar analyst and my pregame co-host, Aisha Morrison.
Yes.
We will be joined by, I don't know, somebody
from
Atlanta. Our Joe Hoyt and Clarence Hill are both out there, so we will get the latest on Zeke Elliott and all of the guys who are playing today and what we're expecting to get out of some of those guys. And I think that is a good place to start, Aisha, because I think we can talk about Zeke if you want to, because it's a story.
Yeah.
But I would rather start with Trevon Diggs and the fact that he's going to play. And I have seen people already like, that's reckless. If he's hurt, you can't put him out there. And I'm hoping that they're a smart enough organization that if something would be at risk, they wouldn't have guys playing. And they desperately need to be able to cover Drake London and Darnell Mooney and Kyle Pitts. So the fact that you have Trevon Diggs, you have Caelen Carson, Jordan Lewis is obviously out there. You have a healthy secondary. Makes me feel a little better.
I do too.
Makes me feel a little better.
For sure. I mean, you got to feel better about it. And then also, too, getting Caelen Carson back today, again, still a rook, still going to go through some growing pains or whatever. But just to know that you have those guys out there is going to be helpful with this Atlanta offense that can really get going and take off down the field.
Especially because we were kind of this close to, like, what if you didn't have Diggs and you didn't have Carson?
Train wreck.
I mean, Jordan Lewis, Andrew Booth, and I think they called up one of the practice squad guys that you wanted a scouting report on. I was like, I don't know, they're on the practice squad. But
yeah, it would have been Josh Butler. If I'm not mistaken, I think they still activated Josh Butler or called him up from the practice squad, which
just in case at this point. And so, yeah, having these guys back is important to what you need to do, but they can't cover forever. It's true, and you're still going to have – but that's one of those things that's like, that's not going to change all year, right? Like we talk about the four guys that are – their four top pass rushers are out, but I think two of them are definitely for the season, and I think the third one might be for the season.
Ooh.
And Tank.
You think Tank's done for the season?
I am worried that at his age and with that injury that even if he gets back out there, he's not going to like get back out there and just be kicking butt.
Well, because it's a foot.
Yeah.
And we're seeing how long he's had issues with his feet before.
We don't like feet.
And
we like feet. We're fine with feet.
Some of the folks here
but
that work on this podcast do like feet.
Foots
They're
that get hurt on pro athletes that play sports that have to push really hard on those feet are scary.
And that's why we're seeing with Deron Bland this taking so long for him to get back as well. I mean, I know we had talked about like, yeah, he could be back after the bye, but at the same time, it feels like it might be even a couple more. It might be a couple more weeks.
Yeah. So Micah Parsons will get back, and obviously, having one of the best pass rushers on the planet is awesome. But I don't know that they're going to be able to get enough guys back to ever be a good pass rushing team.
There's a couple of edges that are available for trade.
What?
I can be hopeful.
We like our guys.
I can be hopeful.
We like our guys.
There's a couple of guys that are available via trade that I think could be helpful for the defensive line if And if they were to attack in a trade or do something, that lets me know, to your point about Tank.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if they did, they would be kind of telling you.
Well, because KJ Henry is still not even. You signed him. He's still not even. He's not active today.
Oh man,
Facts.
why are you?
What am you want me to say? I gotta tell the people what's really going on.
Don't tell the people what's really going on. We're trying to feel good.
You want me to lie? I thought Trevon looked good. And, our beat reporter Joe Hoyt is in the comments. He said, "I thought Trevon looked good when planting and changing direction in pregame workout without hairs."
That's good because we need him to look good because we need Trevon Diggs to deal with Drake London. Like there's certain matchups that I don't love for Trevon Diggs, and there's certain matchups that I do love for Trevon Diggs.
Big on big is kind of what we want.
Perfect.
Absolutely. But if Darnell Mooney has
I don't want him covering Darnell Mooney.
I think that's a matchup we'll see more with Jordan Lewis.
Okay, I can deal with that.
They move these guys everywhere. This is the thing about Atlanta as far as the Cowboys. I don't think anyone's going to follow anyone or anything. I think they're going to play their sides or the quarters of the field because Atlanta does too much mixing and matching position-wise for you to just hone in on one guy.
Yeah.
We did see that Israel Mukuamu looks like he's going to be slated per Christy Scales. Want to give Scoop her Christy Scales.
We love you, Christy.
Yes. Want to give her credit there. She said that Israel Mukuamu seems like he's going to be taking on the matchup with Kyle Pitts. How do you feel about that, Jeff?
Well, I was hoping that Donovan Wilson would cover Kyle Pitts. I thought after the way that he performed against George Kittle that he really earned the right to cover anybody's premier tight end because that would be good. That's great. Izzy's always been weird. Not that Izzy has been weird. But I remember, I have a terrible memory, but what game was it? It was a playoff game where people were banged up and he played the slot, the Bucks, and he played really well.
Yes.
And then just got lost again. Yeah. And it's like, what is he, a safety or a corner? How many guys have to get hurt for Izzy to play? And when he had been out there, I was like, wait, I remember him being out there and playing well. Mm-hmm. So I find that at least interesting. Yes. I find it interesting to see what he's got.
I think his length matches up well with Kyle Pitts. He's one of those guys that, like, when you look at his length, you look at even, like, before Nashawn Wright. You see a tall corner. He's a safety. He's really a corner, y'all. Please, for the love of God.
He was a college corner.
Yes. And so you worry about the hip turn. You worry about, is he fluid enough to turn and run with some of these speedier receivers? Kyle Pitts is not going to, like, burn you. So I do think that the matchup should be okay. Let's see how it works. Let's see how, because I think it is going to be important for Atlanta to get him going.
Let's hit some of these super chats, and we will hear from either Joe Hoyt or Clarence Hill. Thank you guys for being in the super chat, and thank you for being here, because a couple people point out in the chat they're not even very interested in the game, but still love the show. So thank you.
Thank you.
Jay Lit, the most uninterested I've been in decades. Sad. Still love the show. Thanks, guys. You're welcome. Gimli 21. That's a good, strong supporter of us and a great name because Gimli is the dwarf in Lord of the Rings.
Of course you know that.
Gimli is the dwarf, and when they're fighting, like, they always make the dwarves into, like, comic relief when it comes to the TV, and I don't appreciate that because they're more than that.
Oh.
There are stout and strong companions, and they're very terrifying. Yeah. But in the movies, they make him comic relief, and he tells, I think, Aragorn to toss him over a bridge so that he can go fight, and he's like, toss me.
Toss me.
Don't tell the elf. Because him and Legolas have a competition going. A Zeke truther once told me that if he got 1,000 yards on 500 attempts, that it'd be good because it's still 1,000 yards. These people are beyond help. We all got to take shallow. We don't need to do a victory lap around here. What's that? All right, we don't have to do a victory lap around here on the Zeke stuff. Yes, he's been washed since probably 2021, but you can't worry about that. We're not worrying about him today because he's not playing today. But let's talk to someone about that. Whoever pops on the screen.
Clarence!
Oh, if you want to win, put chill.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, Pop? Why you ain't tied that bow tie this whole time? I seen you over there posted up with it untied.
It's a style, okay? It's a style. Untied bow tie, you know. It's like, you know, when you leave it, at the end of the night, you untie it. Well, I start the night untied, okay? The real truth is I can't tie it, okay? The real truth is I can't tie, but
somebody needs to help you do it.
Yeah, no. A beat reporter down here is a good friend of mine, Daryl Ledbetter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He is a bow tie guy, so I roared in honor of him. So we tied one earlier, and we took a picture with it, and then I let it go.
Oh, I'm about to cry.
That is. That
It's
sounds
so
very sweet.
sentimental, Clarence.
So Clarence, tell us about Ezekiel Elliott. Tell us what the unclear things to me. If you are just finding out this from us, congratulations. But Ezekiel Elliott is not with the team. He did not travel with the team, so obviously he's inactive. And apparently something went on over the course of the week. Was he told he was going to be inactive that led to him getting mad, or was he going to be the third running back and he got mad? What led to Zeke being disciplined and not being there?
Well, the story they're telling now that he missed some meetings, and that's why he was inactive. But this has been building. Here's a guy that Mike McCarthy, no matter what you said, Zeke's a great team guy. He sits in the quarterback room. He sits in front of the meeting. Here's a guy who's a great team player. Now all of a sudden he's missing team meetings. He's late for things. You know why he's late for things? Because he's mad about his role. Whether legitimately he should be or not, he don't understand his role. He's mad about what's going on. And just my talking to people, this is something that's been building, building. And I think cutting him was on the table. They decided to make him inactive, and that's where we are right now. We'll see what happens on Monday and Tuesday. But understand this: last week, when Rico was supposed to play, they were going to have three running backs active. Okay, we always talk about how they're going to get Dalvin Cook. Well, Zeke was going to be the third running back last week, and then Rico got hurt, and all of a sudden he's the starting running back. So he's like, what's going on here? I go from third running back to starting running back, and I'm sure coming into this week, he was going to be the third running back again behind Dalvin Cook and Rico Dowdall. And so all of this stuff has just come to a head. We knew it was going to be an issue as soon as they made Dalvin Cook ready to go, as soon as they elevated for a game. How are we going to play the running backs? Well, Zeke was going to be the odd man out.
How do you think that they will play him this week? I would assume Deuce Vaughn is also active today. Do they still have any thoughts on Deuce Vaughn and want to see him have an opportunity, or are we looking at Rico, some Dalvin Cook, and Deuce watching?
Last week Deuce was active. He didn't get a snap at running back. I don't think the Deuce is part of this equation. Mike talked about it earlier in the week that he's behind the veteran guys. It's an unfair situation for him. I think Deuce is there for special teams. He's going to do some things on special teams because if you're going to have three running backs active, somebody has to run down on special teams just from a numbers standpoint. But I think this is more about Rico, Dalvin Cook. Let's really see what Dalvin Cook can do because, yes, he didn't have a great run last week, but he also didn't have a lot of opportunities. They want to get some opportunities with Dalvin Cook. He has two elevations. He only has one more elevation. You have to sign him to the roster and decide what they're going to do with him for the future. So it's all about Rico and Dalvin Cook today.
Yeah, Clarence, we just got a report from Christy Scales with Cowboys Radio that Israel Mukuamu is going to get to have the opportunity to defend Kyle Pitts this game. How do you feel about that? And have you gotten any information about where the decision came from, when the decision was made?
I mean, I think that, when I talked to Mike McCarthy earlier this week, he said they were talking about how they're going to use their safeties differently. Most people thought it was more about Bell and Wanye Thomas. Clearly, it was about using McComo to help cover the tight end because we know what won't work covering the tight end. Okay, we already know Donovan Wilson can't do it. And you saw last week, and he talked this week about how the Falcons will certainly mimic what the 49ers did and try to get their Kittle off. They're going to try to get Kyle Pitts and to make some plays. And he's been finally a big part of the offense. So the Cowboys have to come up with something to try to slow him down. We know that McCormick has the cover skills from being a corner in college. He's long and tall. He's perfect for that role, and hopefully it'll work out for the Cowboys today.
One more question for you from me, Clarence. So Trevon is good to go today, seems like.
He's playing. Good to go is when you got a tear in your calf, you're never good to go.
So how serious do you believe the tear is, given that they are deciding to allow him to play? We know how Britt Brown get down. We know how
Right.
picky he is about allowing players to go out there and be playing with some type of injury. This decision seems like a big decision. Like, how do you feel about it? And have you heard anything about
Well,
it?
talking to Mike this week is something he's been dealing with all season. He's been dealing with since the start of the season. This is
He's
not
had it all
he didn't.
season.
Yeah, this is not something that just came up. He's been dealing with something and dealing with this, and Mike, told us earlier this week that it's something he's been dealing with all season. Obviously Jared, finally came on the radio and said what it was, but it's something he's been dealing with. And we've all talked about Diggs is not having his best year. He's not, Obviously he had a good game, a decent game last week from a tackling standpoint, from a coverage standpoint. He's not been at his best, and he's had some limitations, and clearly this is part of it. In addition to that, coming back from that ACL, he's been dealing with something with the other leg, and often when you are come back from injury, you injure something else because you're trying to overcompensate or whatever else when you're not comfortable. And it's not a surprise, but yeah, it's just another setback for the Cowboys. And this is what has been a crazy season. No matter what you thought about what they did off season and adding players, the injuries to key guys this year is just off the charts.
Thank you, Clarence. Enjoy the game, and we will talk to you in the post game.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you, man.
Bye,
right.
Clarence.
Goodbye to Clarence Hill. As we continue to get you ready for Cowboys and Falcons, which starts in 15 minutes, it's time for our Game Time look around the league. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and it is that easy. I did it over the weekend or last week. I used the code DLLS on the Game Time app, and I bought some Stars tickets. I got my $20 off.
I've never been to a hockey game.
Oh, it's so fun.
I need to go to there.
Hockey's probably my fourth sport, but in person, it's my number one sport. It's really fun. Super fun.
Okay.
But you guys are here for Cowboys. But this is your look around the league. The Jets beat the Texans 21-13 on Thursday. That's all that's happened in the league because the Cowboys play at noon. But if you're interested, big division game, Giants hosting the Commanders at noon while you're playing the Falcons. The Eagles host the Jaguars at 3:05. We want Trevor Lawrence to be better than he's been and go ahead and beat the Eagles because that would be fun. And then if the Cowboys win, life is more fun. The good football teams that play each other include Lions at Packers at 3:25 and the fighting Baker Mayfields at Kansas City tonight. And if you're on Team Tank and you're looking to lose for draft picks already, keep an eye on Carolina hosting the Saints and Tennessee hosting the Patriots. All of those are noon games, and those are the two worst teams in football. You're cheering for them to win so that you can catch them at losing if you're on Team Tank. That's all.
Yep.
Last thing, just to put a bow on the Ezekiel Elliott stuff, Mike McCarthy was on the Cowboys radio broadcast in his pregame interview and just referred to it as a team discipline situation. It's a mutual decision for Zeke not to make the trip. He said there are things we all have to do in the workplace. That's what it is. That's as far as I'm going to go with it. Which is just highlights that he should have never been here. Should have never, ever, because Mike McCarthy had to stand up there and call him a leader all season and talk about how important he is because Jerry Jones signed him and Jerry Jones wanted him and Mike McCarthy didn't want him. And so now you have to deal with all this nonsense because you brought back a big name with a big fan base and the owner and the GM loves him and the coach knows that he can't help the football team win and it's all just annoying.
What if they run the ball decently today?
That'd be great. I think they have a chance.
I think they have a chance specifically, too, with the Falcons. Troy Anderson, their heart and soul linebacker, was trending towards being able to play this week. Every report that I saw from the Falcons sounded like he was practicing. He looked good, all those good things. It doesn't seem like he's going to go. J.D. Bertrand, also, too, their rookie linebacker, not good to go. So with the linebackers that are there for the Falcons, you can attack them. And I'm really looking at this Dallas run game to be able to put some pressure on them or attack them in coverage today. Yeah,
so the Falcons' defense is okay-ish, right?
It's confusing because they got players. You see they have players. Well, honestly, it's like looking in the mirror straight up. I mean, granted, when the Cowboys have some of their players. But, yeah, got some guys in the secondary, whatever at the linebacker position right now because of injuries, and their defensive line has a few guys, but they can't get pressure. It feels very similar to the Cowboys.
And so I do wonder how the Cowboys approach that because if you were just saying, hey, what are the Falcons' worst or worse at when it comes to defense, you would say, well, they've been worse against the pass. They can't rush the passer, and teams have been able to throw it. But that doesn't mean teams haven't been able to run it. They're okay at run defense, and they're bad at pass defense. But I would still like to see the Cowboys try. I think my thing, if you're going to pretend that I'm allowed to make any sort of decision about a football team, which would be dumb, but we'll try because I think the benefit of the other team thinking you'll run and seeing you have some success opens up play action, big old chunk plays and things like that. So I'd like to see them try, but I'm not afraid if it's not working early to say, screw it. We finally get a look at a team that can't really get at the quarterback. Our rookie left tackle probably had his best game last week, and now you're going up against guys that probably aren't going to – they're not going to be like the guys you've been facing all year. And you've got an opportunity to say, hey, look, we got a franchise quarterback. We've got a wide receiver one. You can't get to my quarterback. If I can't run it, okay. I still need you to go make a bunch of plays in the pass game and give us a chance to win this thing.
And one of the low-key things that I noticed about the Falcons defense is, this is a Raheem Mostert-led team. They play a lot of nickel, 70%. Dak has seen a nickel defense. He's seen it in practice for forever. He went up against it in practice for forever. I want to see how he's able to attack with Jake Ferguson. I know we've been just kind of waiting for him to come along. And also, too, Luke Schoonmaker. What does he do in this game? Does he exist? Is he there? Is it decoration? Are we just going to start giving Hunter Lipke tight end snaps? What do you want me to say? I mean,
he's on the team, so I get it.
So pigeonholed.
You only have one tight end on this team.
And it's unacceptable. Somebody needs to, I watched Transformers 1 yesterday. Rise up. Do something. Like that's what Megatron said.
I tried to watch it, but I fell asleep before.
You fell asleep?
Well, I was sleepy when I turned it on.
Do yourself a favor and try to watch it again.
Did Optimus Prime ever show up? Or was the kid robot, did he turn into Optimus Prime?
It's an origin story.
So that... I bet the kid turns into Optimus.
I don't tell
like
people.
He gets
a
little stone thing, and then he's, I am Optimus Prime.
It's actually a fantastic movie. Do yourself a favor. But somebody needs to rise up from the tight end position and be effective. We beg of thee.
Yeah, that would be great.
It would be nice.
Can we sneak in our 2-eye in the sky? Or was that kind of going through some of your matchups to watch?
I mean, quite honestly, this is a big game where I'm looking for Maris Lewis-Fowler and DeMarvion Overshown. This run game for the Falcons can be lethal. I mean, Bijan, the explosiveness to get to the outside, what he can do to you there. Algier is going to be the enforcer. He's going to wear on you physically. But that dang Ray McLeod coming out the backfield is going to get on my nerves. So,
well, hold on. Should I get him on the sleeper? You tell me he's going to catch the ball?
I'm going to step on your toe.
Okay. All right.
He is their Swiss Army knife. They're Kevontae Turpin, but they use him more effectively. Does some things at the backfield. They'll set up screens for him. Just quick game. He's very good in space. How does this young Cowboys linebacker core, because I just don't think Kendricks can run like that anymore. How do they defend the edges and come up and tackle? Because this team can get to the second level, and your secondary already is kind of hampered. Don't want either one of them having to be the last line of defense today. And
if the defensive tackles could give you a chance, that would be nice.
For the love of muffins.
That's a hard part.
And this Falcons offensive line is not powerful. Like, do they have a couple of guys on their offensive line that can play with power? Sure. But they are an athletic, get out in space, get to the second level offensive line. So this Dallas defense needs to be assertive physically to start this game.
Kerry Matthews, Freak Jesus, said, Jeff, get in there and show them how it's done. Show up this week at the Star and try and make the team.
I think Chauncey Golston gets a sack this week.
Hey!
He's been close. If you've been watching the games, I know you have. He's close.
I've seen the games.
And the Cowboys have been getting pressures, quote unquote. They had 12 last week. Get home, bro. Like, for the love of muffins.
Yeah.
Please.
For all the muffins.
Sack this quarterback. Affect the passing lanes. Get your hands up. Do things to affect him, because when he has a clean pocket, man, 10 TDs on the year, I mean, he can. Kirk Cousins don't get a lot of respect, but he can cook some people. If he's given the time,
yep,
I think he can be a very efficient quarterback.
Is that all of the 2 eyes in the sky?
That's all. Yo.
Because I got other questions. I just want to make sure we got through the 2 eyes.
Yeah, we're done.
How interested are you in what they do at running back? Like, do you want to see Deuce Vaughn getting the ball? Do you want to see them splitting? Or do you want to see Rico gets the ball? And when Rico comes out, sure, Dalvin Cook plays some.
I want Rico to get the ball and Dalvin Cook to get the ball. I want whatever happens with the running back position today, I want them to be able to, and I agree with you. If it ain't working, don't keep trying to do it.
Get up out of there.
I don't like that. Take advantage of the fact that you can pass on this secondary. But if it is working, I do want this to be maybe a starting point of this is the actual tandem, and them getting the offensive line also getting a feel for them. Because with the in and out, I do think it's important for the offensive line to get into rhythm with the running back. Yeah. So that's kind of what I want to go with. And if you want to throw in some Hunter Lipke on some third down situations, because he is a receiving-esque option, I would be okay with that.
I hope Rico is just the guy.
Yeah,
and when
really.
Rico taps his helmet and needs to breathe, then Dalvin Cook plays. But I will be interested in what happens when Dalvin Cook plays and when he gets the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, honestly, again, you'd be crazy to ever let me have any say-so on any sort of pro football team, because I would just do wild stuff, plus I drink too much. But
Z-biotics.
Like I would like Zeke should be cut today. If it's true that a guy that was brought in for his veteran leadership, good vibes, is a bad vibes guy that's not going to meetings because he's mad about what's going on and where he is, and he's averaging 3 yards a carry, he should be cut today. But
I think there's a high possibility that we don't see him.
Well, and I also think that Zeke, Dalvin Cook, always was a very redundant thing. So if you've reached the point where Dalvin Cook you think looks good, he has taken Zeke's job.
Facts.
And so there's no need to have him around. And so I think it's relevant. What happens when Dalvin Cook gets the ball today? If he looks good and they think, oh, this guy is better than Ezekiel Elliott at this point, then we're good here.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Release.
I agree.
And if not, then
just more drama.
Zeke's coming back next week to be the backup again and be mad about being the back. I don't know.
I don't even know how you can do that. I don't think that the state and the climate of like what Clarence has told us and just some of the things that we've heard, like I don't believe that relationship is something that is going to be mended with giving what's going on and everything. So I'm fine with it. I wish they would have went younger. At this point, I just see when you watch these young running backs play.
Yeah, they look like they're younger.
Such night. I'm gonna step on your toe.
They're fresh. Duh. They got burst. They can run.
But I'm just saying, like it is. And you know what's weird to me about the Trey Lance thing and the fact that giving away that pick has came back to bite you is the fact that I know that the Cowboys scouts knew that there was a probability that there would be a run there because that's kind of where the run has been the last couple of years. It's the 3rd round, 4th round. So for them to just
that's the end of the thought.
I'm mad. The whole thing makes me mad because it's so counterproductive. Your offensive line isn't playing well. Okay, well then you say, well, teams that don't have a great offensive line, they have a good running back, they still find success. You don't even have that. So it's just like it's a tough situation to be in right now, and I'm tired of it. I just want to see more than 3.5 yards a carry.
I'd like to shout out to the guy that said Jeff Kavanaugh sucks.
You suck.
No, I think that is a fair point, and I'd like to thank you for watching and contributing to our success and my career. It's very kind of you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have that outburst, but
Zeke looked better than Dalvin against the Niners. So that's the thing. That's why I'm interested in if Dalvin gets a good number of carries, because what you can't do at running back is say that the guy who carried it twice, like, that's not good enough. Because what you need to know is, well, show it to me 20 times.
I think
because if it's 2 plays where they didn't block well and I didn't do anything, now I suck. Like, no, I want hundreds, or in Dalvin's case, I'd probably want to see him not in this game, but before I can tell you what I think of Dalvin Cook.
6 to 10 carries at the very least?
Yeah, give me different circumstances. Give me a well-blocked one. Give me a poorly blocked one where he might be able to get out of attack. Like, you have to be able to see different things. Like, I'm very confident in how I feel about Zeke because I've seen him carry it a lot of times.
Right.
With Dalvin, I'm not going to take his 2 yards per carry on 2 or 4 carries or whatever, where they didn't really give him a chance. And it's just like, I won't judge you yet. Let's see you get it 6 to 10 times a day if you do. In different circumstances, and then we can decide, hey, what's that look like?
So we're evaluating today.
But we're also going for a dub. But if we don't get a dub, it might be team tank time. We'll see. Yeah.
Well.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, the ice tank comes sliding around the corner, and we try to get a good draft pick, trade down, then you can pick a running back in the first round if you want.
I used to have to clean and clear tanks. It's not fun.
Well, yeah, I don't want to actually do any work with actual tanks. I would want them to lose a bunch of games. Feed Zeke. It's not possible today, but it would be fun.
Here. He's probably feeding himself at the house.
All right, everybody, enjoy the football game.
Yes.
I've got the Cowboys winning 1,700-6. And if that doesn't happen, then yeah, we'll break out the ice tank. Either way, we'll be here for the post-game show. Make sure you're at youtube.com/@DLLS_sports.
Mm-hmm.
And let's have a post-game show right around 3 o'clock when this game goes final. Go team, kick their butt. Let's go win the Super Bowl. How about that?
Let's get a win.
Remember, you have no idea what anyone's going through, so be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy. Or else.
We all silly like the mayor.